Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of the 3-Hour Ride Race Series out on Zwift. We are into race number 3 out here. It's going to be a fast and furious race out here today. Things are going to split up immediately right from the get-go. I got Dave Toll next to me as usual. We have been out here. We're going to be out here for the entirety of the series. And so far, we've got some pretty hotly contested racing against some of the top Zwift racers in the world, actually. It's Dave.
Yeah, the usual suspects are all here. I'm going to start with Leandro Messanil, the Argentinian. So, Nathan, he comes in as the top-ranked rider on Zwift today, but this is going to be a really interesting format. I've actually never seen this before. This is the beauty of Zwift, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to learn a lot today, but basically, what we're doing is starting these riders together, but it's a time trial format. You'll see them on their time trial bikes. They'll have made that selection in-game. And then it's in real life. You're going to get constant splits on every rider in the race with your eyeballs. You can look around and see who the leader is. If you're that leader, you know that you're setting the standard.
Good
but
point.
No one can draft.
No one can draft. So we're not getting set off at separate intervals. It actually just jumped out on course. So I'm going to jump in with the riders right away. We'll be covering the A and the B category is what we do have today, everybody. It's going to be a fast, it's going to be a furious race. We're also going to bring in for you the current standings out here as well. So as riders have jumped out on course, though, as you can see, Anderson as well as Barnes right from the get-go just going all in right off the bat here. So...
Yeah, it's so interesting, Nathan, because now in organized chase, it's just individual riders all chasing on their own. I think I've already fallen in love with this format. Tempest Fugit is the course. Nathan, this is my favorite place to ride by far because is there a flatter course out there? I search around sometimes for that, and this is the flattest I've found. You would know for sure. But okay, so basically you're looking at, you know how sometimes when you watch skiing, downhill skiing in the Olympics, they overlay the times, so you can see where they were at the exact same moment in their run? Well, that's exactly what we're getting right here. So, Nathan, you do such a good job of following along, but there's Christopher McGlinchey. Actually, got to give credit for the win that he had at the virtual Tour of the Gila. He ended up taking the win. I think it was the second stage that he won there. Was it actually? No, he was awarded the final stage. I apologize. The Gila Monster Day.
Right. Yeah, with the Edafir situation.
Yeah, interesting turn of events
real quickly,
there.
Speaking of Christopher, then, let's go ahead and throw these up here because this is going to be important. And this changes things so much because if you're good at pack riding, that's the story out here today is that this is a completely different discipline. What can you do for full-on 20K out on this flat course? There's no climbing. Just throw down the big watts is what it comes down to. So Chris McGlinchey currently at that 1:22.41, but people have an opportunity now because it's not going to come down to a bunch sprint. It's going to come down to who's got the biggest engine is really what it is. So Brett Bonner has a chance here. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I was going to say, Nathan, we're looking at the world's greatest FTP contest going on right now.
Pretty much, yes.
Because, the winning time is going to be, I'd like to see someone crack. We'll get a good feel for it. But, look at this. As they come up on 4 kilometers, the time's going to be pretty close to 5 minutes right there. You extrapolate that out right through, multiply that by, sub 25 for sure out here.
Yep,
as we look at the Bs as well. Actually, sorry, go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, so we look at the top 10 for the A's. There we'll also be looking at the Bs, obviously, then today as well. And Luis Pinheiro, Ross Hetherington, followed up by Grant Whitestead. You can see the time splits here. These are going to change up at the end of the day for sure. That's your top 3 here. We'll go ahead and go through just the top 3. Going to be a quick day on the day here. So top 3 there, Julian Biger, Sheris Thomas, and then David Green there for the C's. And then in the D category, current standings here as well with BJ Alfonso. Good to see him.
Hey.
Good job, BJ.
Portuguese wonder.
Been a long time since I've been seen him in the broadcast. So great to see him back out. Michael Peach as well as Jerome Martinelli. So, So Z-Sun walking away so far, but did he go out too strong is going to be the question here. Martindale BRT has actually been making up some time here. 6.5 watts per kilogram. Man, Darn's here, Twitch TV. I think that he is the one who's been kind of a little bit more in the steady And I have a feeling he may be overtaking these boys in a little bit here because that kind of an effort early on, you can see it already fading down to 5.8, 5.6 here. We do see Martindale trying to close things down, bump it up into 7 here and there. But 180 beats per minute. Arndt Anderson here. We're going to have to see if he can hold on to this. And right on the wheel here, Messineo, Hawden, Turner, Maglinski, all right in the contention here. You can see it's going to be 8 seconds. I love how we can see the changes here, though, that will come in the overall leaderboard.
For those watching, remembering that being on the wheel makes absolutely no difference out here, right?
Great point. Yep.
Normally there would be that draft. Not here. They're all basically just, you're just looking at in real time, constant splits happening. It's a fascinating way to race bikes. So this is the third race in the 3R Wahoo series. Wahoo are friends out of Georgia who have changed the game. It's amazing. And boy, they're putting out some great content as well. I love the shows they're doing with Ian Boswell. But right now, picking up the action here. So remembering there's no draft. All of these riders started exactly the same time, racing for its 20 kilometers out here. And I mean, look at the numbers. They're all sitting in this mid 5 watts per kilo. So just kind of, Nathan, as you know well, just trying to hold that state. You don't want to see your power profile with a bunch of spikes and drops, spikes and valleys. You want to see a flat line right below your threshold there. I mean, that's basically when they talk about that FTP test. This is the big gauge that riders use, but you're going to see it looks like a little bit of a challenge. The one difference here, obviously, from an in real life time trial is you've got the absolute motivation. I mean, would you rather be the chaser or the chased right now? You know, it's interesting.
That's a great point. I mean, I think you do have riders that are going to be trying to just at least stay within contention of the rider near them. I think that is a reality, but there is
pacing, right, Nathan?
Pacing with them, exactly. Trying to pace with them. It's a great point. You know, and I think here, I almost would prefer this because, I mean, you go out and you can see the live time gaps right from the get-go. You don't have to sit around and wait all day, watching the times come in. Yeah. This virtual way of doing it is kind of interesting.
I love it. So, Nathan, back in the day, and I'm talking really back in the day, when they first started setting the hour record, so this is in the early, 1910, 1920, they were shattering the record by using the technique of a searchlight, or a spotlight that would set what would be breaking the hour record. And, I mean, what better way to pace off of for 1 hour for a rider than that light? And they could control it, and they outlawed that very quickly when they realized the impact that it had. So we basically, as you look at this from Martindale right now, this is exceptional here, Nathan. So if the race stopped right now, he's got a 6-second lead on second place, third place back to Zwift at 14 seconds. Barnes, who was leading for a while, they're sitting at 15 seconds back. But Nathan, look at this now. It's 7.2K for our leader. We're a little more than a third of the way in. We see, I'm going to say, take a look, steady stream. That's their virtual placing right now. But we've got about 13K to go.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
This is a good amount of time here, and this is that 10-minute mark. For those of you who might be, if you've done an FTP test before, you'll kind of, if you think back to it, maybe you're trying to block it out of your mind what that experience was like. But
is this when you throw up usually?
The 10-minute is when you figure out whether or not you went too hard. It's when you figure out whether because it's essentially you can do a VO2 max effort all out for about 10 minutes. Right? Like really, I mean, maybe not all out, but it's like, it's just over your threshold. You can really hold that for right about 10 minutes. And if you went like a little bit too far over that, this is when your body will respond and say, no, you just have
to
slow
shutting down on
you just have to go below threshold now at this point, and a significant amount below threshold in order to recover
here's
that
what
energy.
Happens, right, Nathan? Very well put. And then what happens is once you have exceeded, you overdraw your bank account, well, it takes a long time, long enough that you're going to fall well out of the top 10 if you blow that gasket out there. So the trick is just staying right below that threshold. Obviously, that's the name of the game. It requires, for a lot of riders, what happens then is you space out a little bit as you're rolling along, and you look over and you're like, was that a squirrel over there? And all of a sudden your wattage drops 20, 30 watts, right? And that's really hard to recover from. So it's hard to stay focused, even though you say, it's only 24 minutes, 23 minutes that our fastest riders will be doing out here today. That's a long time to never take your eye off the ball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it is. It really is. And being right around the 20-minute, so we're at about the halfway mark almost here for this this rider here, Martin.
Yeah, it's going to be close to 23 and a half minutes maybe for our fastest time here. It's starting to look like.
Getting pretty close. So as you can see here, this little roundabout is going to be where the turnaround is, just in the distance. If I can get the mini map here, there's a little mini map in the upper right-hand corner, -1%. This is such a flat course here. And that little roundabout there, it is the flattest course. The flattest course on Zwift. They'll do a quick little turnaround, and on the way back, he'll see his competition, actually. So Martindale kicking still here from the BRT team. Swift Carbon, Turner. Dropouts. This dropouts boy, he started steady and now has been ramping up. This looks like the perfect time trial, actually, because we saw him under 6 watts per kilogram for the first, half of the race. If he's got an FTP in that upper 5s, it looks like he's playing it right to have a personal best kind of a day. So I think he's going to maybe be able to go into that just over 20. We'll have to wait and see. Anderson went out too hard, as you can see. He was over 6 watts per kilogram for quite a while, and now look at the having to back off. Barnes still steady here, 174. I think that's going to be right around his threshold there. Messineo, lighter rider, so not so much of the pure watts. A lot of times the lighter riders here not having so much of the pure watts, and you also don't have, obviously, talk to this, Dave, slipstream. That's not a reality in Zwift as much. Not at all. The reality. Well, if you're a shorter rider, though, you do get a benefit, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool the way all of these things factor in out there, Nathan. Again, for folks joining us, and I see a lot of you jumping in, thanks. We have had so much fun out here racing today's time trial. All of these riders started together, 20 kilometers. Drafting is turned off. And Nathan is talking about, these guys are all basically now this group, who wants it more. It's not a group working together, which really, for the guys who are behind them, it's important to keep that in mind, that you're not chasing a group. They're all working as hard as you are right now.
It almost looks like a TTT. Look at this. Here.
It's so cool because that's what it takes. They all, Nathan, know where their threshold is, and they are right there. You are watching these guys absolutely at their limit right now. I mean, they're flogging themselves. And now, Nathan, these guys are tied. Virtually tied. They're chasing one rider a little bit up the road. I'm looking for Christopher McGlinchey because I know that he's saving something, Nathan. This guy out of Northern Ireland, I love that interview that you did with him this weekend from the Tour of the Gila. Really an interesting young man.
I think Christopher messed up. I think he didn't know. He didn't know. Unless this is just on my end. This might be client side. It might be client side.
I hope so. Oh my gosh.
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to ask him because I'm wondering, Christopher, this doesn't seem like his kind of an effort here. He's all the way back in 9th place. He's current series leader, and he showed up on the Tron bike. Is that right?
He might have been super tired from this weekend.
There is that. There is that. Maybe he's trying to draft on the riders. I think this is client side. Well, maybe we can get Chad to help us out. I think this is probably
he's one of our favorites. I'm not going to he's been such a fun rider to watch out here on that Vetus team. Really enjoyable. So Nathan, as we're here in this third race of this 3R Wahoo series, this is very unique. I have to give Leandro Messineo, the Argentinian here, a shout out. He's such a fun rider to watch. Let's see if he can get himself back up into the mix. It looks like McGlinchey out of Northern Ireland is starting to rally himself. Well, thanks, Nathan, jumping over onto Leandro right there. So this is over the last couple of months, another one of the ultimate danger men, without any question. You can see he's got that. So again, always remembering, I know I'm not correcting anyone. I'm just telling myself he's not chasing a group that's working together, which is almost, Nathan, it's very rare that a rider can rejoin a group that they've been dropped out of. It's just so hard to do in real life, and even a little bit harder on Zwift. Well, he's not chasing a group. These guys are all working exactly as hard as he is. They're getting so this man should be motivated. That's a carrot on a stick right now for the Argentinian. But if we look here again, they're through the half.
We're getting it here. And
what's going on, Nathan?
It's true. It's true. He didn't know. Oh, yep. Look at this, Christopher. No. Look what place he's in still, though. He doesn't have a TT bike. You know what he could have done? He could have went out from the gun and jumped onto the front guy and then drafted him the whole way.
Oh, Nathan.
Oh, man.
Okay.
I'm sorry to hear it, Christopher. I'm sorry to hear it, buddy.
Hey,
but
listen,
you got to read the rules. When you show up to a race, you got to read the rules, right? You got to know what's going on. And
if he was on Team Tibco, that wouldn't have happened, right?
Oh, gosh.
Man, we had the best weekend of racing, and this guy was a huge part of it. You know what? Let's cut him some slack. Right,
yeah,
Nathan?
We'll cut him some
we'll
slack
give you
on.
a pass
I don't
for
know.
Sure,
I don't know if 3R is going to cut him any slack, though. I think the times across the line are going to be the times across the line here.
Because
yeah, it is.
I mean, Nathan, that graphic that you were showing earlier, showing us our GC based on time, McGlinchey's going to slide down the leaderboard significantly here. But don't worry, he's had plenty of trips to the buffet.
Well, right now, okay, hold on. Barnes, Barnes 122.43. Barnes currently has a 14-second lead on McGlinchey, 16 seconds. That's going to continue to go out a little bit, most likely, because Barnes, he's a powerhouse. Yeah. He's a powerhouse. We're looking at Barnes on screen behind this graphic here, but you can also see Mills Keeling is there as well, and he is 1 second on him now as well. Turner is having an amazing day out there as well. He's going to get some time back, so this is definitely going to affect the overalls because we've got 3 riders at least out here all in the mix with him because Turner is having just a crazy, obviously, Turner here is, this is, I think, his specialty. I think that he likes to just put the watts out, maybe not sit in and play these games across the line kind of a thing. He'd rather just throw down the power that he can throw down. And look at him. He's chasing Martindale down. He's kept him within sight. He's ramping it up here. 436. He's kept that heart rate right around that 170. And now this second half, this is where you really ramp it up for the most amount of time gains.
Boy, Nathan, are we learning there's a difference between tactics and pacing or what? I mean, this is not about tactics. This is understanding your engine and how you're going to I mean, he knows that he's down inside of, oh boy, little more than 5 minutes of racing, maybe 6 minutes until this one is done and dusted. This is the champion standard that we're looking at with Turner right now, the Zwift Carbon rider. Nathan's starting to look at these gaps. They're going out right now in a major way here.
Yeah,
as you
they
start
really
to see
are.
some of the big
This is
names
when you know who has that kind of an effort, that TT 20-minute FTP. This is the moments of truth to how you rode this as well as what kind of strength you have. Let's jump in just real quickly. They're going to finish here quickly. I definitely want to highlight the Bs, though. It looks like Alga Hamidi here is going to get an upgrade. He's going to get he's way over 4.0 watts per kilogram. And I think he's just jumping into a race. So we're going to focus then on Jay Martin here, who's right at the threshold of 4.0. He may also be in the range of an upgrade out here. So one of the things that's cool about the TT that 3R kind of threw this in here, maybe also as like a test for their riders to say, hey guys, let's go ahead and see if you're in the right category. Not as like a, hey, I don't think it was a jab at anybody or anything. I think it's just mainly, hey, this is a great way to see if anybody are getting the gains, and maybe people are going to get some upgrades. You can see Fellows 4.8, Martin 4.1. I mean, it's either do well, or it's either you do well or you're going to lose time. So it's like you got this tension in you if you want to stay in the B category or not. So Martin's having a great race there, though. Fellows is chasing him down hard, though, from Innovation. Wow, 4.6, bringing time back quickly here in the B category.
Oh, the whole goal here is to empty the tank in the final few K, Nathan. So, I mean, pacing, we've talked about the different techniques that riders are using out here. We're going to see who the real closers are because you go deep. I mean, Nathan, to be honest, for folks who are watching at home, when you start seeing, what it's like to make over 5, even 6 watts per kilo at this point, I mean, look at these numbers. The reality is there's going to be guys going into that tunnel vision mode. That's how deep they're going. And what that means, I mean, the reality is your body is working so hard that you're starting to shut down systems. Like your brain is getting limited amounts of blood because we're starting to parse it out now. I mean, it is insane how deep they dig. And look at this effort, Nathan. This is what I'm talking about. Anybody who's got the ability to dig deeper now is showing you what the champion standard is. I love this format. I hope we do a lot more of this as the 3R Wahoo series is now getting very close to the business end. We're still not there yet, Nathan, but you're going to bring us home for sure. This is going to be a battle royale. It's like watching Godzilla and Mothra locking horns off the coast of Japan right now.
Godzilla and Mothra, I love it. They're destroying the city. That's why
they're just tearing Tokyo apart, right?
The Fuego Flats. I mean, that's why it's all dust out here. That's the reality now. But look, Martindale, you can see, we said it early on. Martindale went out so incredibly hard. We saw him over 6 watts per kilogram for quite a long time early on. A lot of times, if you don't warm up into that, you're going to suffer. And you can see he's really trying to hold on at this point after so much of an effort early on here. But now Turner continues to ramp things up. He's made the catch. He's gone by, but now holding on to the distance he's put between himself and Martindale is going to be difficult. It does look like it.
And I wouldn't be too surprised if we see passing and repassing as they both try to hold on to the tête de la course, the front of the bike race. So again, this is a time trial format. Drafting doesn't matter. These guys started at the exact same moment. We're going to be watching now. It looks like, Nathan, what do you think? It's down to these two. I would have to say Turner and Martindale. As you look back through the top 10, the gaps are large enough that I think these two, as they bring it down into about 2.5K, they know it's going to be one or the other. Advantage Turner right now. He's got the accelerator down on the floorboard, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
they're both tapping on the gauge.
I think Turner has done the better as far as management goes, though. I think Turner, and that's the finish line right there. They're going to come back through, though. They have to go around the roundabout one more time and back through that section right there will be the finish line. And I think that Turner has just raced the better race.
Look at the speeds
he's just kept things under control and I see his average 50. Seems to be trying to hold right around that 420, I believe. 420, 415, I think, is what he's aiming at, and trying to just go right above that, over and over again. Look at his heart rate. It's been so incredibly consistent, and now we're going to see it to start go out. It's going to start to decouple as he goes outside of that threshold effort into more of a VO2.
Here's
I have a
feeling
we're going to see more of that 425, 430 watts, and then get into closer to 180, I think, coming to the finish line. 4 seconds. Martindale could close it. You're right. But at 181, I think he's kind of maxed out, where Turner might have an extra gear.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch, Nathan. Again, this is where it all comes down to heart for sure. What a great shot that is right there. That's what 4 seconds look like when you're going at, 50 kilometers per hour. They were just on a little downhill sector. This is that turnaround that Nathan was talking about. They're about halfway around it right now here, as we're going to see them as they move into this last kilometer. It's not going to take much more than a minute until they'll be at the finish line at that point. And you're right, Nathan. Bringing back 4 seconds at that point is a huge ask for Martindale. So he's got to start right now. He's got about 1.2 kilometers here. So he's going to need every 300 meters to bring back a second if he wants to make that catch, Nathan. That, again, it's going to be really, really rough to do, because this man is flat out flying, starting to motivate even more. Again, a little bit of a downhill sector, so he'll try to carry some speed here back up onto the flats at 52 kilometers per hour. Nathan, I think he's got it. I think
he's got it over the sprint. There's the sprint.
Yep.
That's the sprint marker right there. He's coming into the final a little bit here. Might be just a shy under 20K. We'll have to wait and see once he hits the line here. But Turner here looks like he's got it in the bag. But he can't slow down. Every second's going to matter for the GC. It isn't like you stand up and look behind you and say, I won the race. This is a race against the clock. Martindale's starting to bump it up here a little bit, but I think Turner can relax a little bit, at least on the win on the stage. But, looking back behind him, he's got to have plenty of those chasing down whatever time they can. Martindale bumps it up, 7 watts per kilogram, but it's going to be Turner across the line for the win. Now Martindale looks like here 180 beats per minute. Next rider across the line. I'm going to back up here a little bit to try and find some of the other riders as they're coming to the line. I think Barnes and a few others, Keeling, all about to make their finish. You can see the riders back and forth between each other. McGlinchey is who we're with here. He's sitting on Mess and Neo's wheel. Top 10 situation for him. Barnes just about to cross the line. Sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to stick with him, but it's a little bit. Go ahead.
They call this the race of truth. This is the ultimate race of truth that we've got out.
Look at McGlinchey sprinting.
Yeah.
He's actually getting a little bit of a draft and then going across. It looks like Keeling then was able to hold off Keeling. Nice job to him. Ivany. Keep on moving on back. I'm going to jump in with the B categories. We are getting the top 20 finishing up in the A's here. Let's go ahead and jump on over because these boys are just about to finish their race up.
All right. So, it looks like, what a great race that was for our Bs now. We're picking up it's going to be a chaser, Nathan? Help me out here. No, I'm sorry. There's a leader that we're looking at, Race 3R, our host team here. Great job.
El Gamadi is doing 5-4 all day long on Z Power as well, so he will not be in the race. Like, he may be up ahead here. He's not on a TT bike, and essentially he's on Z Power. So for those of you guys who do not know what Z Power is, it's great that people get out here, and this is the way we always talk about this. We love it that people are out there racing. There's absolutely amazing that people are out there getting a workout. Z Power is the easiest way, the least expensive way to get into racing or riding out on Zwift. You get a speed sensor, you get a trainer, and then you connect to Zwift, but it's not the most accurate. So it's not allowed in racing essentially by any of the race organizers in Zwift Power at all. And so
what do they need to? What does he need to do, Nathan? For people who are wondering, what is
some sort of a power meter or smart trainer, something that measures actual strain on a pedal rather than just being able to spin up.
Good time to thank our friends at Wahoo, right? Because they make what would qualify as a smart trainer. I think you could get for under $600. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah.
Snap?
Oh, yeah. Even cheaper than that. Yeah, definitely.
Right. So it's not like it's a huge financial outlay. I get it's not nothing for sure, but we're not talking about it's $2,500 to get verified either.
This is so interesting.
You could do it with Wahoo for pretty reasonable. So,
but again, we're going to Nels, there's quite a few athletes here that are losing huge amounts of time out here today. So it's going to be interesting to see Race of Truth out here today. Plus, it looks like Downing didn't get the memo there, too. So lots of athletes
So now,
out
would
there today.
Spencer be in our A race?
I just swapped over. Yeah, okay. I just swapped over real quickly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Martin
so this is again B race.
To the line, though. Yep, coming to the line. 379 watts right now, 173 beats per minute, being chased down by one of the B riders. Now,
I understand it gets confusing for folks out there, but what Nathan was really saying is there is a rider ahead faster, but not verified in what is accepted in this world of racing. So we're kind of using Martin as our race leader. He's the first one that really qualifies, having met all the procedure, right, Nathan?
Yeah, 195 for fellows across the line. So it looks like that'll be first and second place across the line.
There we go.
One more right between. Bayon now coming to the line, looks like, followed up by Pinheiro. He's going to be coming through here. Now, guys, one thing I do know that it does look a little bit confusing on the board as well. This is not TT mode in Zwift. This is a regular event mode used with time trial bikes. So if they do overlap with each other like this, you will see riders in the friends list. So, because these are not actual positions for those that are unfamiliar with Zwift, and if you do ever want to, follow along, like this is also a learning moment for those of you that might be DSing, because some people are like, I just want to log in and watch people, right? Well, if you're
going
to log in and DS, or you're going to log in and Anna Russell actually, who was 5th overall this past weekend, Tour of Gila, right?
New Zealand.
Out of New Zealand. She was actually broadcasting some tri races. There was some New Zealand national tri races going on, and she was commentating them. It was great to see. We went back and forth a little bit, and she was asking me some questions about how to do it and all this stuff. And she was doing it on their Facebook page because they needed some events, and great, awesome.
Well, that's fantastic.
But so people are trying to learn, how do I spectate Zwift? Well, this is something you need to know is that, look, this is a friends list of those nearby. These are people nearby. This is not it might give me 99th out of 134 for who I'm looking at.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that this person over here nearby is not coming the other direction. They're just nearby. Right? Like it's the people who are the closest 100 people populate that list. That's essentially what happens. So if they're going the other direction, it doesn't matter.
So this is a great reason. So Nathan, what you're talking about doing would require that you had a Zwift membership to get onto Zwift to be able to do that. And I think that
good question. Good question. Actually, no, because if you have a free trial, and then you log in and you don't start moving, I don't know if the free trial shows up at the bottom still. So
either way, it's just another reason why with something you can use your Zwift for sure.
100%. And making new emails every 2 weeks is kind of lame, anyways. So
right, exactly. You don't want to live that life. Hashtag don't live that life. Right.
Nope.
So watching more. So Race 3R host club working with Wahoo. I love the vibe, the Wahooligans. So you see that jersey a lot out there in the world of Zwift as well. I spent some drops today, Nathan. Got some
Yeah,
new
what did you
gloves,
get?
socks. Just kind of just sprucing up my wardrobe. I got new wheels too, some Zip 202s. So those were pretty
Nice.
sweet.
There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
202s. Wheels are where it's at. Wheels are usually the biggest difference.
I listened to you, man. I listened to you, bud. That was
they are the biggest difference.
Yeah. I'm saving up for a new frame. I don't want the specialized alloy aluminum. I have a beer budget with champagne taste.
I mean, it's a fast bike. It is a fast bike, but it's not.
Is it? Well, maybe I will.
It's not. It's not going to be your. You got to go for either the Venge or the Tarmac for sure. If you're going for one of those specialized, Christy BRT B category. Coke now making his way to line top 100 now with 30 minutes coming in. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results. Quick little race out here today. Fun format, but we're going to have a couple of people not disappointed with their day, though, as well. Now, looking Andy Turner, though. Look at how he turned the screws at the end and was able to... He went out so fast. Martindale went out so fast, and Turner was able to just, I think, really manage his effort out there today.
Wasn't it? I mean, I thought it's interesting. These are not the usual suspects in our top 5. When you eliminate tactics and really just work on pacing and effort, Andy Turner, George Martindale, Zach Herod, Andrew Hawden, Tom Heel, these are your top 5. James Barnes. Then McGlinchey holds on. The top 7 ride with all the things that he had going on is impressive. Leandro Messanillo, the Argentinian. Then our man, George Mills Keeling. I'm a big fan of George. And then Matt Brook rounding out our top 10 here today. We don't do this format much. Nathan, vote that we do it more. I really enjoyed that. So thanks to 3R and Wahoo
fun.
again.
It is pretty fun. Yeah. We could have short. I also like the short format. I don't know. We've been talking about doing tournament style stuff as well. There's some race organizers out there talking about doing kind of a head to head. We were able to somehow talk for 4 hours straight with over the weekend twice.
Yeah.
And I think a tournament style. I think a tournament style might be doable, kind of a thing. So we'll see if we can bring.
I'm
that
a little
down
concerned,
the road
Nathan, because of the banner here of this 2018 UCI World Short Lap.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We'll just have to have to update Martin. Hey, I don't know what happened there, but we're pulling the right. We're pulling the right ID.
It looks like the data is good, right?
Data is good, everybody. The data is good.
Just don't worry about the header. Yep.
Don't worry about the header. We'll have to have a chatter with the graphics
Jono
man.
Martin. Jono.
Yeah, nice result there for Jono. As you can see, Zwift Power automatically culled the rider on Z Power. Do you see how that works? So almost all across the board, and this is not personal to the guy on Z Power. It's just the setup. It's just not allowed. That's all it is, And I don't think he's trying to cheat. I think he's just jumping into a fun race, and I'm going to go hard and get a workout.
Totally with you.
So.
And hopefully we'll send him to go see our friends at Wahoo, right? Go to your local bike shop. They'll be happy to set you up, and we'll see how that goes next week. Well,
Julian Beiser. This is a long-time viewer. Good to see Julian out there. Nice job, Julian. David Green, Ben Hunter, David Mosley, Joe Allen. Nice job to all the guys out here in this C category. And then in the D category, nobody across the line, it looks like.
They're still racing, I think.
They're still racing. I think they're still out the
I would be out there for another 20 minutes or so, so you got to save some cold water for us at the finish. Don't forget about
this is a nice little
Clydesdales.
This is our winner on the day. I don't vote we do it anymore with a trash trash can over here. You got trash canned, as Chloe Dygert would say it.
Sounds like after Bernardino won Paris-Roubaix, he said, good, that race is a piece of crap. I'm never going to do it again. And he didn't. So Andy Turner. So, I get it, man. It's got to be a really good feeling to go through an event like this. Talk about proving it out there. I know that Andy tomorrow, Nathan, let's follow up and see if he changes his mind.
Yeah.
Good job, Andy.
that was a huge effort.
It sure was. That had to hurt. He's still lying in a pool of wet towel and adrenaline right now on the floor.
Christopher's letting us know, me either. I prefer sitting in and hiding. So Jonathan Mills Keeling saying it's fun to watch. E-Cycling. Good to see E-Cycling TV Germany. Good to see you out there, Martin, who's running things over there. Leandro Messanillo on 8th place. He needs a power-up. No power-ups in the TTs out here, though, today. So it definitely changes things up, though. No power-ups. You've got no drafting. You've got, I mean, it's just race against the clock, race against those who are around you. And
you
I think
constantly
sometimes
know how you're doing. Sometimes in a time trial, you wonder, right? Where you're like, I don't know if this is enough. Now you know it is or isn't enough.
Yeah,
It's
and it can
really
actually probably pull even a better effort out of you because of that.
I think so.
And then
absolutely.
the other thing, there's one other thing to this as well, where you kind of get you satisfy a desire in the community, a desire in a racer. Where early on in my racing, I liked mountain biking more because I would get so mad that I was the stronger rider and I would lose to people who I knew were not stronger than me. And I was like, in road racing, I would just get so frustrated. It didn't work in my mind because I was young and immature in some ways about what racing was like and the tactics and all that kind of stuff. But also, there's just a want in you that the strongest just wins. Come on. Kind of a thing.
Which is usually the case in mountain bike racing. It's 95% time the strongest who doesn't have bad luck.
Yep.
No flat tire, no.
And also has the skills. You got to have some skills there too. But besides
100%. But a team in mountain biking is nothing more than a group to transport your equipment with, because you're racing all by yourself. Whereas in the road race, man, having a team, look at what the Ceres Pro Closet or what Vetus does out there. They operate like a team. They force the other squads to get out of their comfort zone and chase. So those things that you say are so valid, Nathan. But we literally this weekend watched a great mountain biker, Leah Davison, on the 2020 team. We watched her in one day learn half of what you need to learn to Zwift. She got caught out in the wrong group, spent a whole day chasing, made as many watts per kilo as the winner, basically, but ended up 28th place and that was all learning the game. And Nathan, you've helped me learn a lot about the game. But the funny thing is, you're never done learning out here. Maybe that's not so funny. Is the reality is
learning.
These guys.
It's crazy.
And you're in Zwift heaven.
We actually, I'm probably going to release a video actually out here in a little bit. We'll do something maybe live or some sort of pre-record, watching one of my streamed on my personal channel Zwift races, where I am using first-person perspective to show how the drafting is going and how I'm using the draft in order to be almost a full watt per kilogram less than the guy who's next to me, who we went head-to-head in a sprint, and either I won or I was second. There was 2 or 3 we were back and forth in the USA Cycling Series. The guy who is with me is doing 5 watts per kilogram, and I did like 4 to 4.2, and we were literally a tenth of a second at the finish line, right? And
people
so
all the time, Nathan, say, how is this possible? Right? If you just look at the numbers, it's the same thing. I would say, how does a curveball work or something? It's like, well, just look into it a little more. I love this, Nathan. I'd love to watch that. We talked a lot about how, things like you've been showing us with the Super Talk, how enough Super Talks add up to a tenth of a watt at the end of the day if you do it enough through a 40-kilometer race. And think about how much a difference that makes. I'm talking about a tenth of a watt per kilo, right? You go from 4.3 to and I mean that's all these little things that you stack up to make to one big thing, and that'll be the difference in the finishing minute of the race. And man, the last minute of these races is so much tougher. I mean, you think the starts are rough out here, the finales are insane.
The finales
you watch so many times.
Insane. They are definitely insane.
Yeah. Just riders just
so
collapsing
difficult.
on their bikes.
Essentially, drag races a lot of times.
Yeah, my friend Kathleen is saying all the time that she wants you to bring in video of the riders on their bikes, right? So you could see them and see how deep they go. And for people who don't quite understand what we're doing here, that maybe connects the dots a little bit. When you understand, like, that guy is making these watts, it goes through that smart trainer into Zwift that runs all the algorithms. And then Nathan creates this broadcast and we get to watch a real bike race. And folks, one thing we've learned the last couple of months is this racing is so real. It's a little too real for some.
Yeah, and we're getting confirmation here real quickly from Andy Turney. He says, I can confirm the towel and floor is soaked. So might interesting for you to review an old race and point out what you did right and wrong. Heck yeah, John Meals, I think we need to. That's a great point, actually. Don't just point out what we did right in the most recent race. Yeah. Let's also take a look at what we did wrong in the other races.
I watch Nathan on Twitch. I love it. I just really enjoy the racing across the board. And I watched Nathan on Twitch a couple weeks ago. Nathan probably doesn't even remember the moment, but got caught on the wrong end of a group. And then he just started. I was watching. He's like, he's making 700 watts per kilo here. And I mean, 700 watts. And he did that for about a minute as he chased back across. And it was a major split in the field.
I remember that moment. I remember that moment.
Yeah.
It was the first USA Cycling Series race I did.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was on the downhill on the UCI 1 lap. No, we were doing 3 laps in the UCI course, and it's that sharp downhill with a little kick afterwards. And somebody had let the gap go, and I knew that pack was not coming back. I knew if I didn't close it now, I had to put out orange numbers full on in order to get back on. And that was the race that was going to either be over in 70th or on the day I took, I don't know, I think like 3rd or something, right? And I would have been literally, my race would have been over, and I was able to take 3rd because I knew the timing, I knew the drafting, and when to go. And so it's really tactical, that's for sure.
And the other thing that you knew was when this was a really bad situation that you needed to correct immediately, because if you waited 5 more seconds, Nathan, to do that effort,
I couldn't have called.
you weren't going to get across, right?
No, you're right.
Right.
Yep,
So
100%.
it's really fascinating. So I appreciate that feedback though, because we're learning a lot. And again, as I've even just doing the broadcasting here, a lot of times you have to learn by making the mistake. I mean, how many times was I, missing finish lines and stuff? And that happens to the racers too. Happens in real life.
That's why you're riding the courses now. That's why we're upgrading your bike, right?
Makes a big difference, man. And the beautiful thing for me, Nathan, is I get to see it in slow motion.
So now you really get to take it all in, is what Dave's saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like
Has
those
nothing to do with being slow. It has nothing to do with being slow at all. This is just research. We're just calling this research.
Absolutely. Oh, if you watch me and you're like, hey, he's only making 120 watts per kilo and he weighs a lot. Well, don't worry. I know that. This is all research for sure. So,
all right.
Hey, listen, we can have some fun. This was great. Yeah, this is our longest wrap-up show ever.
Yeah, well, I think people like it. The viewership actually is going up, it looks like, in some places. So people like it if we just sit here and talk to them about stuff. Everybody's going stir crazy. Okay.
Well, this community's awesome. Yeah,
it is
I
an
love
awesome
the
community.
Zwift community. Yeah.
Awesome community. Hey guys, everybody, really appreciate all you out there. Great job to everybody out in the race there today. Different format today. Quick race out there today, obviously. But we'll be back tomorrow for the USA Cycling Series race presented by Cyrus the Pros Closet. It is a series you can jump into either in the morning, afternoon, or evening. Obviously, we're pretty far into the series, so getting a series result may be difficult if you're just hearing about it, but it's still an opportunity to have a great race against the international field. And USA Cycling is also, for those who have a USA Cycling license, are also doing a rankings just off of those who are part of their organization. Pretty cool setup by USA Cycling. They've done a lot of work with Cyrus the Pros Closet. Man, they're involved in everything in the community, it seems like, Dave.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite races as well. So, thanks again, Nathan. A great day of racing out there. Look forward to seeing everyone next week.
All right, we'll see you guys. Take care, everybody. As always, ride on.